Oh, hello there, my fellow American. I see that sham of a football league you call the NFL has just finished up their most scripted season yet. I know you need something else to distract you from all the planes falling out of the sky. Luckily, Europe's version of March Madness has just entered their knockout stage, and because of a little scripting of their own, you'll be getting a marquee matchup next week in the round of 16. And I know, it's soccer. Why the fuck should you care as an American? Well, I'll tell you this. It gives you an opportunity to indulge in America's new favorite addiction that isn't laced with fentanyl. Good guess, though. But I'm actually talking about gambling, baby. Ooh, you know you love a parlay. And last week, the Champions League had 18 games going all at the same time. You, look at me. Look at me. You watching this right now. I'm going to say some real shit. You and me are never going to escape the working class. Not with the jobs we have right now. But you're always just one 18-leg parlay away from generational wealth. Remember that, son. Remember it. And in that spirit, I know that I've been doing these guides for a while. I hope you already know the basics. So from now on, there's no more clueless guides. No, we live in a new era. Trump's back in office. Olive oil's $40. And the richest man in the world is taking Diablo 4 accounts. Why? Why would you do that? You're not even trying to impress the hoes. You're trying to impress Reddit nerds. Like, who the fuck cares? Sorry, I took life too seriously for a second. But here's my hot take. Soccer is the best sport in the world right now. Yeah, I said it. It is the best sports product in the world. For the longest time, it was the NFL. But now simply, it's not. The Mahomes narrative, the Taylor Swift narrative, it's just pushed. It's just too much. Yeah, Brady got a couple of calls himself, but come on. At least they had him earn it, not bailed out like Mahomes over here. And the American people, they bailed out enough fraudsters over the last decade. At least in European football, that shit is true free market capitalism. Yeah, rich white guys. Not as easy when the brown people have oil money, huh? And listen, as a minority myself, I might do a heel turn. I'm just going to go the route where I root for every oil money state, or start rooting for every team owned by Chinese private equity. And in that spirit, I must say goodbye to the clueless American guides, as I figured we need a new guide for a new world that we live in. So without further ado, please sit back, relax, as I give you a Scumbag'S guide to the Champions League. Enjoy. All right, but before we get into everything, go ahead, drop me a follow on the IGs at thefatasian. Get my numbers up to impress the hosts. All right, let's cut the fat. You don't care about any of the middles. You want to know who the big boys are, who are the contenders, the favorites, who are the Chiefs, who are the Celtics of Europe. And much like our sports, they have divisions. Let's go league by league. First up, let's go to the birthplace of the sport, and maybe the only nation declining faster than the U.S., jolly old England. And while the country has gone to shit, their football teams are as strong as ever. Liverpool, I think, is everyone's favorite. A historical giant of the country, they've seen quite a resurgence over the past decade. And now, they've done what I thought was impossible this season. After saying goodbye to a legendary head coach who retired in his prime, the guy who came in to replace him is actually somehow fucking better. Yeah, this shit is unheard of. It would be like if Bill Parcells retired and then Belichick took over. And this team wasn't even good last year, and they barely made any moves in the transfer market. All it is, pretty much, is this coach is just that good. They had a huge gaping hole in their midfield. He went and he took an offensive midfielder who was just basically loose parts of the club and turned him into one of the best defensive midfielders in the world. They're now also the best counterattacking team on the planet and is spearheaded by an Egyptian god card who's having his career season when many thought he was past his prime. Mo Salah is the best player in the world right now. Him and Liverpool are having a season of dreams, stuff of fairy tales. And I am so unbelievably jealous as a Man United fan. I'm the fucking scene from Interstellar where McConaughey is behind the shelf, just fucking slamming my fist up against that bookshelf, just screaming at my old self not to become a Man United fan in the early 2000s. Come back, Murph! Murph, come back! Be a Liverpool fan, you fucking idiot! Let me tell you, the type of jealousy I feel toward Liverpool fans is the type of jealousy they warn you about in the Bible. But I digress. Yeah, Liverpool have been nigh invincible on foreign and domestic soil. They're easily the favorites. Blah, blah, blah. Moving on. Let's talk about something a little bit more fun. Let's talk about Arsenal. They were once a giant of England, but have now evolved into the meme that is Bottle Job FC. And yes, I know as an American, your instincts are to love this team. They have a gun on their badge. It's only natural. But do not, I warn you, do not root for them, because they are the Buffalo Bills of Europe. They get so close to silverware, they can taste the metal in their mouths, only for them to fumble it away on the one, which makes them the most fun team to shit on. They're that just right combination of good enough, maybe even damn near championship level good enough, that it gets their fan base's hopes up. And for most of the season, they look incredible, dominant, sensational. But all you have to do is wait, because then something always, inevitably, comes in and completely fucks them over in the cruelest of fashions. And this in turn causes their fan base to have legendary tier crash outs. So sit back and enjoy the beautiful football while it lasts, and then get ready to laugh your ass off. This is the team that you hate watch. Next up, we have the defending English champions and our first team on the fraud alert. And that would be considered blasphemy less than a year ago. Because in 2023, there was no question who the best team in Europe was. There was no question who the best coach in the sport was. And only a season earlier, they had just added a new, shiny, generational talent to lead them into the next decade of European domination. But sometimes the sports gods have a sense of humor. And due to a shit ton of injuries and a lack of depth, Manchester City imploded mid-season. Now, a lot of people are going to point to the losing of their Ballon d'Or winner Rodri as a main factor to what has retarded this team back to mortal levels. There was a 1.5-month period in the middle of the season where no other team had scored less points in the Premier League than Manchester City. They were a fucking laughingstock for that month and a half. And literally everyone but the 14 real Man City fans watching this were fucking ecstatic about it. Because you gotta understand, finally, there's a year when they suck. And we all know this is not gonna last. Pep Guardiola signed on for a long-term contract. They're gonna retool in the summer. They'll get Rodri back. So what I'm trying to say to everyone, we need to be savoring this more. We, as a collective, need to be shitting on Man City even more. Stick the knife deep in their chest. Twist it. Because make no mistake, most likely, this is going to be a one-year thing, so enjoy the ride, because they're going to retool and they will return to oppressive levels of dominance by next year. So in the spirit of being a dirtbag, I ask everyone that watches this, please, I'm begging you, kick them while they're down. Kick them while they're crying and curled up in a little ball, because I know, we all know, how fucking insufferable they're going to get when they stand back up. And luckily for us, since they did so poorly in the league portion of the Champions League this year, they got seeded to go up against a historic favorite in the round of 16. But I'll save that for later. And a quick mention to Aston Villa. They haven't exactly shocked the world like they did last season, but their coach is a tournament specialist, so I feel like they could be a dark horse. So let's move on to Italia. Italy's a fucking knife fight inside a phone booth for the top of the table right now. And trying to predict how the Italians will do in the Champions League is like trying to predict when a girl will text you back. Impossible. There's no logical rhyme or reason. It's pure chaos theory. Listen, the team in first place in Serie A right now isn't even in the Champions League this year. And the team in fourth place are Nazi lovers. Yeah, look it up. It's some spicy rigatoni. That being said, Italian teams tend to play more defensive style that lends themselves well to tournament formats. So I wouldn't be surprised if one or two of them catch a few teams a bit al dente and make a deep run. Plus, our boy, Christian Pulisic, is over at AC Milan and having a career renaissance. So boom, you already have a team to root for. Easy peasy for all the homers. So there you go. Everybody who voted for Trump, you got a team, AC Milan. He even did the dance. But honestly, I think them, and maybe Inter, could make a deep run in this. Now, let's move on to Stinky France. And some of you savvy fuckers might be thinking this is where he talks about PSG. Nope! Gotcha with the old bait and switch. Because I want to talk about breasts, baby. I know. Wait, hold. Men, hold. Resist the urge. Because I know you can't help it. It is in your DNA. Tens and millions of years of evolution are now calling toward you to place a bet for breasts on your parlay. But that is not the only reason I want to show you this. It's more so that by some weird fucking bizarre TV rights deals, that America actually has the best commentary team for the Champions League, far superior than any European commentary team. Yeah, we have what is essentially the TNT NBA crew of European football. And it makes no sense. It would be like if Chuck and Shaq worked exclusively for China, and you could only watch them in China. But that chemistry that TNT team have, this crew of Carragher, and specifically Big Meeks, aka Mika Richards. This man's laugh can make Putin chuckle. I swear to God. It's so infectious. And I'm just going to show you this clip of them just dicking around and having the maturity of a 5-year-old.
Just silent, invisible, no laughs, you know? Is that okay? Can we agree? If you could just agree, and we can move on with the segment, please.
Right.
Thanks very much. All right, so after 4 games, who here likes breast? Like breast? You do too?
I like the shape of them.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, you look at the setup from the manager he's got, you know,
Nice
he's got a
setup,
back four.
Nice
He's
setup.
got a front 2 tonight?
Yeah, two big pair up front that are going to try to trouble.
Just work off each other?
Yeah.
I'm interested, how much do you enjoy watching them? Would you pay to watch them?
I have done.
No, but basically, one thing that you can say is you don't have to be big, you can be small and compete.
That's interesting. Good. Do you think breast could get exposed tonight?
I hope so.
I guess one of the things you have to wonder is...
What is this nonsense?
You see it. They got the chemistry. And we're the only ones who get to see it. So it is your God-given American right to watch this and rub it in the faces of the Europeans. Because let's be honest, we haven't had a lot to brag about over the Europeans lately. Think about it. We had Steph Curry hitting that fuck you 3 in the Olympics, Luigi Mangione, and honestly, those are the last 2 times I felt like, as a country, we came together a little bit. And you know what? I'd like to feel that a little bit more. So sue me. All right, moving over to Germany. The Bundesliga is typically a one-team league, with Bayern Munich pretty much winning it every year, which made it all the more funny when last season, Harry Kane, who is arguably the greatest goal scorer the Premier League has ever seen, decided that he'd like to win a major trophy at some point during his illustrious professional career. So he opted to transfer to the surest bet in Europe, Bayern Munich. But unfortunately for him, he joined Bayern's first trophyless season since 2012. Hilarious. If you thought you've worked really hard throughout your life and have almost next to nothing to show for it, you can at least point at Harry Kane and be like, all right, I'm cursed. But at least I'm not Harry Kane cursed. I hate to inform everybody, but that shit's not happening this year. They're probably gonna win something. And that's why we, as a small scumbag community, need to get ahead of our peers on this. Yeah, we need to start posting right now in early February how much we love Harry Kane. And in fact, we should start guilting other people about how cruelly they've been slandering Harry Kane, especially last season. And we do this knowing full well that we were also very guilty of laughing at him for not winning a trophy last year. But by accusing other people of doing it first, we can use a technique called deflection. For those who are unfamiliar with the term, learn it. It's a very useful life skill, especially with the ladies. They love it. But by going on the offensive and bringing attention to the cruelty of our peers, hopefully they'll be too ashamed and thus discouraged into looking into our past likes on Twitter and Instagram. But this way you get the best of both worlds. Work scummier, not harder, kids. Now, the team that kept Harry Kane from winning his first trophy last year was Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen. And they were the class of Europe last year, not only going undefeated in the German league, but they also went undefeated in their German Cup run, making it the first invincible double in European history. And in fact, they had one loss the entirety of the year, and that was in the Europa League final. Yeah, they were one game away from having an invincible treble season, which may have made it possibly the most impressive season by a European football team ever. Hell, you could argue it still is. The story was the stuff of fairy tales, and in fact, it was such a miraculous story, I had to do a video on it. Link to it over here. Now, a lot of their success has been put at the feet of their young, new manager and former Real Madrid and Liverpool legend, Xabi Alonso. This genius's innovative, new style caught Germany and most of Europe off guard, and while they are not quite as imperious as they were last season, they are still having a very strong sophomore year. They're as hungry as ever, and they want to demonstrate their prowess on Europe's biggest stage. So yeah, definitely a fashionable dark horse. All right, let's move on to España. La Liga's kind of been all over the place this year, but in a fun, toxic way. Like you catch your girl cheating, but you can't even be that mad because you cheating on her too. But anyway, Barcelona, despite being so fucking broke that they can't even afford to register their own players they bought this summer. I don't know how they did it, but they got out to a flying start under their new coach Hansi Flick this year. And yes, the Germans' innovative tactics definitely helped, but let's be real. This has all been made possible through the uncanny ability of their new messianic figure, Lamine Yamal. This child might be the second best player on the planet right now, and he's only 17 years old. Bursting onto the scene a year ago from the famed La Masia Academy, he was the perfect answer to Barcelona's financial woes. As apparently this is the law of football. There must always be a generational player at Barcelona. He is the Lisan al-Gaib, the boy who was promised, and the one who will take the poor Fremen of Catalonia and lead them into a holy war against their historic enemies in the nation's capital. Of course, I'm speaking about Real Madrid. That's Real fans. This competition is pretty much their birthright. Not only are they the defending champions, they have a record 15 European titles to their name, which is more than double their next competitor. And honestly, they seem to care more about this competition than their domestic league. In fact, many a season where they were kind of mid to ass in La Liga, Real Madrid would still go on these improbable runs full of desperation last-second comebacks. And often, they wouldn't even be the best team. They did it through the power of friendship and honestly, plot armor. That was the only way you could explain how they would win, is that they really are the main character of this tournament arc every single year. They weren't the best team last year, yet they still won it. And then they went and added one of the biggest names in the sport during the summer. Yes, after a long-out transfer saga, Kylian Mbappe finally became a Galactico. And it has been kind of an awkward start for him in Spain. He struggled to find the form that made him so deadly for France and PSG, mostly because Real Madrid's best player, Vinicius Jr., plays in the exact same spot. They both want to play that left wing, left forward role. And neither of them are all that comfortable on the right or playing striker. So it's been awkward figuring it out. But despite the slow start, a kind of wonky team setup, and injuries galore, Real Madrid are still, barely, but they're still on top of La Liga. And Mbappe is second in La Liga in goals. But I need you to kind of forget about La Liga when I talk about the Champions League, because here's the thing. Champions League Real Madrid and La Liga Real Madrid, they're two different animals. Because in the Champions League, no matter how bad it looks, no matter how dire, no matter how little time is left on the clock, Real Madrid are fucking vampires in this competition. Until you put the stake in their heart and they burst into flames, you can count on that they will make a comeback. And somehow, some way, with Big Carlo raising his eyebrow and buffing his team like a rocket ult, Real Madrid will find a way to clutch it out, as the main character always does. But before we wrap up, there is one more team out of Spain that I do need to talk about, and that is Atletico Madrid. They are the ultimate wild card of this tournament. Diego Simeone's hyper-defensive style always gives his team a chance to make a deep run in this competition, and after a slow start themselves, there may be no hotter team in Europe than Atletico right now. They're coming in scorching with 19 wins in their last 21 matches, which has allowed them to climb within a single point of Real Madrid in the Spanish table. And unlike Barcelona or Real, Atletico has stayed very, very healthy this season. But that's kind of the other thing. Sometimes domestic form is a mirage when it comes to the Champions League, because winning a league title is more like a marathon, while winning in a tournament format is more about who is most clutch, who can grab the game by the scruff of the neck and effect change in the shortest, most efficient amount of time. You don't have the luxury of a 38-game schedule. It's just 2 games. And with 2 games, a lot of big boys can get upset. And in fact, one of those big boys is definitely going home in the round of 16, because UEFA apparently needs money and they're going to milk this fucking matchup to the bone. Yeah, as I'm releasing this, Manchester City are set to take on Real Madrid over the next 2 weeks, and I can't wait. People are complaining about it, but bro, come on. You don't want to see this matchup? And I kind of hate both of these teams. Whoever loses, I get a hate watch, which means I cannot lose. Personally, I will continue to pray for City's downfall, but Mbappe coming in and getting blamed for an embarrassing round of 16 exit for Real Madrid would be equally hilarious. But I think that's enough for now to get you guys started. Get those parlays in, gentlemen, and enjoy watching the best sporting product that the world currently has to offer. For now, I'm still an American homer, and if just Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift can break up, then I'd probably give it back to the NFL. But until then, yeah, hot take. I think this is the best sports viewing experience there is on the planet right now. But that is going to be it for me. Thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, smash your hard rec nipple into that like button. It only takes you a second, but helps me infinitely in this godforsaken algorithm. Thank you to all my patrons keeping me alive and well. Thank you to my newest patron, Daniel Barham. Thank you very much. But since we live in a capitalistic society, I am factually even more thankful to the newest member of the GOAT tier, Michael Sense. And shout out to everyone else in the GOAT tier. We got Elm, Robert Matai, Peter Barr, Nyanya Barr, Kyle Stockton, the Fat Austrian, Valente Vasquez, Mo Vidoc, and of course, the one and only double GOAT, Sandra Jeremy. Also to all the GOAT guys, I know, I gotta update my GOAT tier on Patreon. I'm on it. Thank you to Alex for helping me edit this video. If you want to hire him, his links are in the description down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys all next week.